Robert watched his wife Eleanor sleep in her hospital bed. After 57 years of marriage, he still thought she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. But Alzheimer's had stolen her memories. Most days, she didn't recognize him anymore. The doctors said she had weeks, maybe days. Her body was failing. But worse than that, the woman he loved had disappeared years ago, replaced by someone who looked at him like a stranger. Robert visited every day. He'd sit beside her bed, hold her hand, and tell her stories about their life together. She never responded. Her eyes were distant, empty. But he kept talking anyway, hoping that somewhere deep inside, she could still hear him. Today was their anniversary. 57 years since they danced at their wedding. Robert remembered every detail. Eleanor in her white dress, spinning in his arms. The song they'd chosen. The way she'd laughed when he stepped on her toes. He'd brought something with him today. A small portable record player and their wedding song. The nurse had helped him set it up in Eleanor's room. He didn't know why he'd done it. She wouldn't remember. She wouldn't understand. But he had to try. One last time. Robert placed the needle on the record. The music began to play. That familiar melody from 1967. Unchained Melody. Their song. He stood up, walked to Eleanor's bedside, and took her hand. It was cold, lifeless. She stared at the ceiling, unaware. "Eleanor," he whispered, "would you like to dance?" No response. Just that empty stare. But Robert didn't let go. He gently helped her to a sitting position. The nurses had warned him to be careful. She was so fragile now. But he had to try. He stood her up slowly, supporting her weight. She was so light, like a bird. Her body moved mechanically, no awareness in her eyes. Robert put one arm around her waist, held her hand with his other. And they began to sway. At first, nothing. Eleanor's eyes remained blank. Her body moved only because Robert was moving her. The music played on. Robert sang softly, the lyrics he'd memorized 57 years ago. Then something changed. Eleanor blinked. Once. Twice. Her eyes focused. And for the first time in 3 years, she looked at Robert. Really looked at him. Recognition flickered across her face. "Robert," she whispered. His breath caught. Yes, it is me. "We are dancing," she said softly, confused but present. "Yes, my love, we are dancing, like we did at our wedding. Remember?" A small smile. Faint, but real. "Our wedding. You stepped on my toes." Robert laughed, tears streaming down his face. "I did. I was so nervous." "You were handsome," Eleanor said. Her voice was weak, but clear. "In your dark suit. I thought you looked like a movie star." They swayed together. The music played. And for those few minutes, Eleanor was back. The woman he had married. The woman he had loved for 57 years. She was there, in his arms, remembering. "I missed you," Robert said, his voice breaking. "I missed you so much." "I am here," Eleanor whispered. "I am right here." They danced slowly, barely moving. Eleanor rested her head on Robert's chest. He could feel her breathing. Could feel her present, aware, alive. After 3 years of emptiness, she was back. "The garden," Eleanor said suddenly. "Our garden. With the roses. Do you remember?" "I remember everything," Robert said. "Every moment with you. The house on Maple Street. Where we raised the children. Sarah and Thomas. They visit you," Robert said. "They love you so much." "Tell them," Eleanor said. "Tell them I love them too." The song was ending. Robert could feel it. That precious moment slipping away. Eleanor's eyes were starting to glaze over again. The clarity fading. "Eleanor," he said urgently. "I need you to know something." What she asked, still present, but drifting. "Loving you has been the greatest privilege of my life. Every day. Even the hard ones. Especially the hard ones. You are everything to me." Eleanor smiled. A real smile. The smile he had fallen in love with 57 years ago. "I know," she whispered. "I have always known." The music stopped. The room fell silent. Eleanor's eyes clouded over. That distant stare returned. She was gone again. Robert helped her back to bed. She lay down, unaware, staring at nothing. The moment was over. But it had happened. For those 3 minutes, she had been there. She had remembered. She had known him. Robert sat beside her bed and held her hand. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for that dance." Eleanor passed away 2 days later. Peacefully, in her sleep. Robert was there, holding her hand. The nurses said it was a blessing. That she was no longer suffering. That she was at peace. At the funeral, their children asked Robert to speak. He stood at the podium, looking at the faces of family and friends. And he told them about the last dance. "My wife had Alzheimer's," he began. "For 3 years, she did not know who I was. She looked at me like a stranger. The doctors said the Eleanor I knew was gone. That she would never come back." He paused, composing himself. "But 2 days before she died, something miraculous happened. I played our wedding song. I asked her to dance. And for 3 minutes, she came back. The room was silent. She remembered our wedding. She remembered our children. She remembered our life together. And she looked at me, really looked at me, and said my name." Robert's voice cracked. Those 3 minutes were a gift. A final gift from the woman I loved for 57 years. She came back to say goodbye. After the funeral, Robert went home. The house felt empty. 57 years of memories in every room. But especially empty without Eleanor. He found himself in the living room. The record player was still there. The song still on the turntable. Robert put the needle down. Unchained Melody began to play. He stood alone in the empty room. And he danced, swaying gently, his arms positioned as if holding someone. In his mind, Eleanor was there. Young and beautiful in her wedding dress. Smiling at him. "Thank you for the dance," he whispered to the empty room. The song ended. Robert sat down in his chair. The chair where he had sat thousands of times, Eleanor beside him. And he realized something. Eleanor had not just come back for those 3 minutes. She had never really left. She was in every room of their house. In the garden with the roses. In the photographs on the wall. In the worn spot on the couch where she used to sit. In the coffee mug she had used every morning for 40 years. Alzheimer's had taken her memories. It had taken her recognition. But it had not taken their love. That remained. In Robert's heart. In their home. In their children and grandchildren. Love does not end when memory fails. It does not disappear when recognition fades. Love remains. In the small moments. In the quiet gestures. In the 57 years of a life built together. Robert looked at Eleanor's empty chair. "I will see you again," he said softly. "Save a dance for me." He knew it would not be long. He was 83 years old. His body was tired, but his heart was full. Full of 57 years of love. Full of memories. Full of gratitude. That night, Robert had a dream. He was young again, 26 years old, in his dark suit. Eleanor was beside him in her white wedding dress. They were dancing. Unchained Melody played. Eleanor smiled at him, that smile he had fallen in love with. "You found me," she said in the dream. "I will always find you," Robert replied. And they danced. Forever young. Forever together. Forever in love. Robert passed away 3 weeks later. Peacefully, in his sleep, in the chair where he had sat beside Eleanor for so many years. The doctors said it was heart failure. But his children knew the truth. He had simply decided it was time to join her. Time for another dance. At Robert's funeral, they played Unchained Melody. Their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren stood together. And they understood. Love like Robert and Eleanor's does not end. It transcends. It remains. Always. In the quiet moments. In the memories. In the last dance.